Hello, my name is Elijah, and today I wanted to talk about DID. If you don't know what DID is, it is a mental disorder that happens through childhood trauma. A brief explanation of how it forms is how when you are a small child, your personality states are still separate states, though they do not have any memory loss. And one might be for wanting protection, another might be for wanting food, another might be for wanting love and care, and they are distinct and separate, and everybody does have them as a child. Around the ages of 8 to 12 years old, they merge together into one, which is the one that we all know and love today. If you go through severe childhood trauma and you don't have things like a significant caregiver to protect you or care for you, what your brain can do is develop DID, which is where it throws amnesia or memory loss barriers up between these different personality states, and when it tries to fuse into one, they stay separate. After that, once more significant trauma or even stress happens, the brain learns to cope with that trauma or stress by splitting different alters or alternate states of personalities or alternate states of consciousness. Through healing, and not necessarily healing, but not just needing alters anymore due to newfound safety and stuff like that, alters can fuse. Eventual goal through therapy of DID healing is what's known as final fusion, which is when all of the alters fuse into one. For example, we used to have about 42 alters. We have gotten down through therapy and healing and finding a safe space in Brazil to around 18. I'm losing sunlight, so I'm trying to talk a little faster than normal. I hope you are okay with that. So you might have noticed that I introduced myself today as Elijah. You might also notice, if you follow me on Instagram and Twitter and so on and so forth, that I have changed my name on all of those platforms to Elijah. You're probably wondering, why? Are you trans? Well, technically, yes. I, as an alter, the host, the one that is out the most, am a trans, non-binary person. And I do consider myself to be trans. Some days I'm more like a girl, some days I'm more like a boy, but in the end, what I personally feel like is a girly boy. And that's just how I present myself in my head and how I try to present myself out here. So, the reason I changed everything on all these platforms is because through healing, I have regained the grasp of being the host. Typically, I would not change our name on things like Instagram, Twitter, and such, because through very rapid healing, the host changes. Fusions happen. As I mentioned earlier, final fusion is the goal. So when fusions happen, when alters merge into one, we regain those other parts of those alters. Let's say me and another alter, Scarlett. Yes, I know, her name is Scarlett, just like our girlfriend. Scarlett formed before we even met her. Let's say she wasn't needed anymore, or we healed a lot, or whatever, and we fused together. It wouldn't just be me being the same exact person. I would now have all of Scarlett's memories and even some of her traits. Let's say I'm not good at drawing, but she was. When we fuse together, there's a chance that I actually might become good at drawing now. So our names have changed. The host's name has changed many, many, many times throughout the years because of that. Because they're all kind of becoming a new person as these fusions happen. I just had to go back and rewatch what I was talking about because I forgot my point. But my point is, the reason I have changed everything to Elijah and why I'm now signing things as Elijah is because I have gone through so much healing and so many fusions that I think that my personality is big enough and stable enough to not change very much if more fusions happen. Think of it like water droplets. If you have 2 water droplets on a table and you keep adding to one, and let's say this one splits into 2 more. If you add it to this one's going to get bigger. If you add more, this one's going to keep getting bigger. And if you keep adding more, it's just going to keep getting bigger. And so if you add one that's still the same size as it was previously to this one, it's not going to change very much. My point is, I am stable enough finally to where I can be confident in my own personality, and that is absolutely amazing. I am going to keep this channel and my project Instagram account as Angel Finds Freedom, as I believe that I think Angel is just a very neutral name. Also, it could refer to the fact that I'm an angel. Not to toot my own horn, but I have been called a literal angel before, and I think it's very fitting. It's very gentle, very sweet, very kind, very soft, and that's all things that I like to think that I am. And yeah, so that's about it. Now I'm going to be answering a few questions that I have been asked a lot about DID. The first one is, how does the memory loss work? Amnesia works in very weird ways. It can happen in so many different forms, but the most common and most imperative form to having DID is to have significant memory barriers, like memory loss between alters. And that can look like me being out and then Scarlett switching out, and then her having no idea what I did or where she is, to me being out and her switching out and her somewhat knowing what was going on, or maybe who I talked to but not what about, or where we went but not what we did. It can have a complete memory block where there's like zero recollection, but in most cases there's what the community of DID people kind of call a gray out instead of a blackout, because typically it's more like, oh, I kind of vaguely remember what happened, like I know we spoke to Scarlett, our girlfriend, but we didn't know what we spoke about, and it's less than a blackout, but it's more than just, oh, I forgot. There can also be memory pass-through, but not emotional pass-through. So let's say, like for example, Tokyo, one of our alters, got into a fight with Scarlett. Well, I wouldn't really say a fight, but they got mad at each other. And I vaguely remembered what it was about, but I had no emotional attachment to it. That is part of the distinction, the dissociation, not necessarily the memory loss, but the dissociation between alters is Tokyo was very mad at Scarlett, but when I switched out right afterwards, I was not. I didn't really care, and I honestly thought that their confrontation, whatever the word is, was kind of funny. So, as I mentioned, it works in weird ways. Another question I get is, how different are the alters, and why are they so different? This one is a very loaded answer. It basically comes from what we believe, or what the different parts of our brain believe they needed to be in order to survive. Now, I want to make it very clear that DID forms in childhood. It is not a thing that can form in adulthood, or even teenagehood. It happens usually around the age of 5. And for us, we believe it formed around the age of 3, if not younger. Because of that, different alters might be more stereotypical than others. Like, for example, we used to have an alter named Courtney, who was a sexual protector, who was very curvy and sassy and your stereotypical sexy girl from a TV show. We had another alter named Jack, who was a badass biker girl who smoked cigarettes and had dyed hair. Ironic. But if you know, you know. But these alters are stereotypical because that's all we really knew as a child, and we saw that these traits were liked, and people would care for them and give them safety. And when we were in times of intense trauma and struggle, we saw these as things to look up to, and we developed different alters in these different aesthetics, almost, I guess you could say, because we believed that it would bring us to safety. Alters can be very, very different. For example, we have a 35-year-old mom alter who just takes care of everybody and makes sure that we're okay and safe. And we also have a 5-year-old boy who is nonverbal. He is very shaken and traumatized and is just like does not respond to anything at all. And so they're very, very different. They can be boys, girls, lesbians, straight, different ages. It's just whatever the brain believes it needs in order to survive the specific situation that has been put in. Another question I get that is kind of funny, in my opinion, is, who is your girlfriend dating? Is she dating all of you guys? There's children in your brain. Is she dating those? What in the hell? Who's she dating? And, well, no, she's not dating all of us. There are children in our system, and that would be, like, illegal. Like, I know the body's not a child, but they're in the mental state of a child, so that would be very fucking weird. She's also not dating even the other adults. She is, but only 3 of them. Which is really odd to say, I know, that she's dating 3 other adults in her system, other than me. It's a bit odd, but she is dating me, she is dating Tokyo, she is dating Scarlett, and she is dating Elliot. And they're all, like, Tokyo's like 23, I'm 20, Elliot is 19, and who is the other one? Scarlett is 21, I think, which is funny too, because Scarlett's dating Scarlett. Anyway, people have asked me if I get jealous, if I consider it cheating, if it's something that makes me uncomfortable, since I'm the host, so I'm like the main partner. And no, it doesn't make me uncomfortable. I don't consider it cheating. I do get like a little bit of pass through with these alters, so I do kind of like have an idea of what they're doing. And even if I didn't, and they did something, let's say sexual, I still wouldn't get jealous because it's me. It might not be my section of consciousness, but it's still technically me, and that's something I've started to come to accept through therapy. And yeah, it's made me a bit more comfortable with the fact that she's fooling around with these other pieces of me. I'm not that uncomfortable with it. A question that I've actually gotten that I got it once, but I expected to get it a lot more, is the fact that I only recently got diagnosed. They're like, you know, how do you know so much about autism if you only recently got diagnosed? And the thing is, I have been aware of my system since I was around 14 or 15 years old, which is very, very young. Like, most people don't figure out that they have DID until their late 20s, if not early 30s. Thankfully, I had an alter who was aware of the system already just because of her role. She was a protector, and she was a protector, and she made sure that everything was going smoothly, and the fact that we had DID in a very abusive household was very dangerous, considering the memory loss. So she formed to be aware of the system, and when she felt that we needed to know and that we were about to get out of the household, she made us aware of the system by dropping hints at first. First it was videos about DID in our YouTube Watch Later playlist, then it was notes, and then it was like pushing us towards therapy and healing so that the memory loss barriers would drop, and then we would communicate through speaking, like through the headspace. So I've just been told to go home from the place where I was at, so I'm doing that right now. There is a beautiful, gorgeous sunset next to me, and I'm gonna end the video here. If you guys have any more questions about DID, don't worry, I will answer them in the comments, or I will make a whole new video if I get enough questions. And yeah, so that's enough for me. Thank you for watching. I will see you guys in the next one. Goodbye, end screen!